Thierry Henry will always be known as one of the greatest strikers in Premier League history, and probably Arsene Wenger's finest Arsenal signing, where he transformed the Frenchman from a pacey winger to an out-and-out deadly striker who scored for fun, going on to become the club's record goal scorer. When you get a player as good as Henry, people will always speculate who is going to be the next Henry. While the likes of Anthony Martial and Kylian Mbappe have been branded with that tag and still have the chance to live up to the hype, there are some players who just didn't really hit the Henry level. Here are 8 players dubbed the next Thierry Henry, but weren't. Theo Walcott. The world was expected of Theo Walcott when he arrived at Arsenal, and his pace out wide immediately drew comparisons to the great Thierry Henry. Those comparisons were intensified in 2008 when Walcott was burdened with Henry's number 14 shirt following the Frenchman's departure from the Emirates a year earlier. Manager Arsene Wenger even compared Walcott to Henry, discussing his transition from a winger to a striker as the England forward looked to take his career to the next level. Despite having a lethal touch in front of goal at times, Walcott could never really become the man at Arsenal like Henry was, with 14 goals being his best ever Premier League tally. In January 2018, Walcott headed to Everton and ended the Henry comparisons for good, as he departed North London with a distinct lack of uproar. If only he hadn't gone to that World Cup in 2006. Luc Castaignos. Now, players of Football Manager will be able to vouch for me here, as the Dutch striker used to be an absolute menace on the computer game and a must sign if you were after a goal scorer. In fairness to Castaignos, he always brushed off any Henry comparisons, saying in an interview in 2011, "Am I like Henry? Lots of people have said this, but I am Castaignos and he is Henry." The press obviously ignored him, with column inches filled with articles discussing which team was linked with the new Thierry Henry. Now aged 25, Castaignos is a Sporting Lisbon player, out on loan at Vitesse Arnhem, where goals have been hard to come by. Maybe we should have listened to him when he said he wasn't the next Thierry Henry. Kekuta Mane. A much more rogue name, Kekuta Mane was apparently a target for Liverpool, Chelsea and Arsenal in 2013 and was likened to the great Thierry Henry because of his pace and power, much like every striker who has graced a football pitch in the last decade. One real similarity between Mane and Henry is that they've both scored goals in the MLS, but that's about it really, with that being the highest level the Gambian has played at. Now aged 23 and playing in Mexico, I'm going to hedge my bets and say that he isn't the next Thierry Henry, and we'll probably never even see him in Europe. Manuel Riviere. This one will be hard to comprehend for Newcastle fans, because at no point did Manuel Riviere look anything like Thierry Henry whilst wearing black and white stripes. Riviere managed an incredible 1 Premier League goal for the club, and that came when he slipped over and kicked the ball onto his other foot in a 2-1 defeat to QPR. In an interview before he joined the Magpies, Riviere said, "People compare me to Thierry Henry, and that is a big compliment. If I can achieve half of his career, then I will be happy." So based on that, the 28-year-old must be severely unhappy, as the only accolade he has is a Ligue 2 winners medal at Monaco, which isn't half of 3 Premier Leagues, 2 FA Cups, 2 La Ligas, a Copa del Rey, Champions League, World Cup, European Championship and everything else Henry's won in his career. Henri Saivet. Like before, this is another one that will be hard to comprehend for Newcastle fans, because at no point so far has Henri Saivet shown anything similar to Thierry Henry, other than using his last name as a first name with a different spelling. The midfielder's Newcastle career has been a disaster, other than that game at West Ham, but by the time he arrived he was a robust centre midfielder. During his teenage years though, Saivet was a flourishing forward back in France, where the Henry tag followed him around like a bad smell. Like everyone else on this list, it was his pace that likened him to Henry, but rather than the transition from winger to forward, Saivet went backwards and became a holding midfielder who is now playing on loan in Turkey. He wasn't the next Thierry Henry, and he didn't live up to an ounce of his Football Manager hype. Gilles Sunu. A name from Arsenal's past, Gilles Sunu was in an impossible position as a French winger at Arsenal during a time when a club legend like Henry had just departed the Emirates for the sunny heights of Barcelona. In the same summer that Henry left Arsenal, Sunu arrived for around £1 million from Châteauroux and would go on to impress in the reserve setup. However, the Henry tag did nothing to help Sunu, who played twice for the Arsenal first team, and his only goal in English football came during a loan spell at Derby County. Since 2010, Sunu has been back in France and he's now at Angers, sitting in the bottom half of Ligue 1. Luc Remy. Let this be a warning to the likes of Anthony Martial and Kylian Mbappe, as Luc Remy really could have been the next Thierry Henry. When you look at him, he's got all the great attributes that Henry had. Tall, strong and powerful, pacey with and without the ball, able to drift in from the flanks, and most importantly, a great finisher. Sadly though, like Remy is now 31 years old on loan at Getafe from Las Palmas. Do not be fooled by the Premier League crown he's won. Remy certainly didn't match Henry's height, he was merely a cameo figure in a great Chelsea side. It was the move to QPR that kind of killed off his star credentials, settling for money in a relegation side as his goals failed to keep the R's in the Premier League. Despite being a star in France, Remy was never able to take that step up, and his time at Chelsea was forever spent in the shadows of Diego Costa. And finally, Nathan Redmond. He might still only be 24 years old, but Nathan Redmond isn't the next Thierry Henry, no matter what Claude Puel says. When the French gaffer took over at St Mary's in 2016, Redmond had just arrived at the club and started life brilliantly under Puel, sometimes operating through the middle rather than out wide and finding some success. Speaking about Henry and Redmond in an interview, Puel said, "It is two men with the same possibilities, quick, a good ability in the technical and the run also. I see similarities between the two with this ability to shoot with the right foot and curl the ball." Very complimentary from Puel, but I think he must have been on the booze that day. This season, Redmond hasn't even registered a single goal and could actually be relegated from the Premier League. Something that happened at the great Thierry Henry? Never. So those are 8 players who were dubbed the next Thierry Henry but weren't. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching and don't forget to like, share and subscribe.